Hi,
Hey everyone.
happy Thursday. Sorry we didn't hang out with you guys last week, but we've had many a thing going on behind the scenes here that we still can't talk about. Um,
Not yet.
Not yet. But we can talk about the status of Fracture Point.
Yeah, for
And
sure.
um, basically, I've been starting to play around with levels, and Matt's been starting to play around with game stuff. And
Yeah.
yeah, we
Yeah,
can just
working mostly on character animations and damage and stats and all the boring things that people really don't care about. Um, yeah, you've been actually having the fun part of designing a city.
it's not really a city. It's a couple of roads.
Dude, I live in a one horse town, man.
Well, so this looks like a city too.
It looks like a hell of a city to me.
Yeah, well, let's just go straight into it here, man. And
Sure.
I will share my stuff, and then you can share your stuff. All right. So, look, there's a guy,
There is a guy.
and you can move. And this is my classic game design cube. This is player height, so I can always just look at the map and go, oh, that's how big a player is. But here we go, and we've got some lighting in here.
Go up to the car. Actually, that's pretty right.
It is pretty bright.
It's
Yeah,
probably
there's a bunch of cars
tractor's
over
probably a little
here.
small, but
That's a classic barrel size,
yeah,
and you know, there's a bunch of cars here blocking the road.
I like that. Old school game
Obviously,
of truck.
lighting is just totally stationary. Well, it's not real lighting. I've just been putting stuff in, so
Hmm.
it doesn't annoy me.
It's got some nice purples though.
Yeah,
That's a nice
I got
point light.
purples over here, and then if you come over
Yeah,
here, I got blues. Right,
yeah,
because everything should have purples and blues.
yeah.
Um, Nothing is set up. It's just literally just so because if you see, like, it can get really dark in here. Um, but so let me go back up here, and you can take a gander at some of the stuff along the side of the road. Here is looking pretty cool.
And before anyone asks, yes, none of this is voxelized yet.
Yep.
That's a post build thing that we're gonna do. Basically, rip these models out, voxelize them, or replace them entirely
Yep.
in Houdini, and then we put them back,
Yep.
and it looks all
Yeah.
pretty.
So some of the things that I've been looking at here, other than just like, you know, how's this height look and stuff, but like, you know, where does this camera break? Like it kind of breaks with stuff like this in front of us. Um, it works really. This view works really well going north to south, or if I designed correctly, going east to west, right?
Yeah, there
But
just has to be some design rules around that. Like
design
if we're
rules,
gonna
yeah,
go
yeah,
east to west, nothing can be south of you.
right. Yeah,
Actually,
because we
well,
come
in
all the way
reality,
back to the beginning. I have a building to the south.
yeah, which also can't happen. I guess the general rule will be if you're
Right,
going side to side, nothing can be below you. If you're
right,
going north to south, nothing can be below you.
right,
Unless we want to block off, there's certain reasons to have a building below you, and it'll typically be to stop someone from going there again. Like
right.
if you want to wall off something.
Yeah, well, that's what my barriers of cars back there
Yeah.
was. I'm not a big fan of invisible walls.
No, have
Um,
reasons for things. I agree.
yeah, but even if it's just like a little bit of a visual cue that like you can't go that way, right?
Right.
Um,
Yeah, it's really good to see things coming along. Um, kind of our our philosophy, at least for this level, is coming together.
Hmm.
Where and I'm so excited by it. It's gonna be so cool.
So this is a
Oh,
matter of, for us, is um, let's just be honest. The sales didn't go quite as well as we expected. And so we're just going to prove it that we're going to build a freaking game here. And this level is all about getting that out into your guys' hands and to prove it that, well, we kick ass. To just put it
yeah.
basic.
I mean, this is how we wanted to do things anyway. I mean, I wanted a little bit more support, but it's it is what it is. But this is how we do things anyway. We want to prove to you guys that we're doing something more than just a blank world that you can run around in for whatever reason.
Right. Right. So show off your stuff.
All right, let's see if my let's see. I'm gonna do this just to save me some bandwidth, and then I'm gonna bring in screen one. Okay.
And boop.
So I've been working on mostly unarmed combat, just trying to get it to feel right, and more importantly than the character punching, the the AI having a response. Right now, it's doing a bit of a slip and counterpunch for me. Um, you know, it. The
He's got
reason why
he's
I
got
started to
he's got really
go ahead,
good core muscles if he can slip like that.
right? He's a tough one. Um, I wanted to feel, and the reason why I start here is I have an opinion that if you get your close up really good, then anything from a sword distance, anything from a spear distance, anything from pistol or bow distance is going to feel good.
Hmm.
But you start here with a tiny little collider in front. I can actually show. Can I show that? Yeah, I can show that. Let's go. Like this is that that box right there is its collision point. That's its hitbox.
Mm-hmm.
So you can see I started really tight, and I wish I could control the mouse better. Ah, well, yeah, I'm fucking it up. It's so
Select your dude and hit F.
yeah, that's true too.
That's funny. That material you have on that box is one of the ones I was using earlier.
Yeah, I've basically the same thing except for I was working on a climbing thing for a little bit, so it's actually double height or maybe 1.5 height.
So one of the things that Matt and I have been talking about is we're really enjoying this north south, and then of course we're definitely playing with combat that is almost starting to feel like a beat 'em up. And if we go about it that way, and then if you add in climbing and stuff, and so playing with the Z plane, um, the up and down, um, will actually look really cool, right? Still not a big fan of ladders, but
So I've become less of a fan of ladders only in experiments. Yeah,
they
it
interrupt gameplay, dude. Is really the answer. Is like the one thing that they do is economy of space, but I would much rather a ramp or a staircase.
right,
But we
and
can,
that's
we could totally do that with level the way we're doing levels right now, right? It's like, but
I have yet to find, and this was just literally days of me exploring because I had a different opinion last week. Um, I have found there's no good way to climb a ladder and not have it feel terrible.
you don't
Um,
want to do the Fallout thing where you just teleport to the top,
I mean
just give up on it completely.
there's yeah, did Fallout 4 do that? Fallout 3 did it.
Fallout 4 does that too.
Yeah, it's a clever way of just saying, yeah, we know this part sucks, right?
Yeah.
Um, it just there's if someone can show me a animation blend or montage where ladders feel good, let me know because I've yet to find anything or think of anything that make them feel actionable. I guess the only thing would be like if you go back a ways to Ocarina of Time, climbing the steel cages felt okay, but they added a lot of action around that.
Right. So there's the, Assassin's Creed, Black Flag, like before they went into RPG mode, the parkour got really good. Um, and the way that they dealt with ladder climb was basically you're such a badass that you're just like double jumping up the ladder, and then if it's down, you just slide down it. That worked pretty good, but it was far cooler to just climb on the side of a building in that game than it was to try to find a ladder.
Right.
Matt, hit your camera. You've turned into.
Dude, I don't know what's going on today. I'm having all sorts of tech problems. Um, yeah, something's up today.
Uh,
But focus on me, please. No, all right, whatever. Um, screw you then.
Matt's just
Um,
Matt's just fuzzy.
yeah, well, that too. Um, I think if we just ignore the ladders and treat verticality with stairs,
Yeah,
you're gonna get better gameplay anyway
yeah,
because there's so many things that you can do on staircases, especially in combat,
yeah,
that make it more interesting.
yeah. And I'm a big fan of like fast motion and like as it's really interesting. Like especially going back and playing some of the ARPGs, it's like, man, do they artificially make you move slow at the beginning of
Yes.
the game? And it's
Well,
like, and
that's the
the
whole
end game is,
idea.
yeah, the end game's awesome because it's like a Diablo 4. When you get to the end game, you're basically moving at 2x what you were doing at level 1,
Right.
and it's so much more engaging. And it's like, why can't it be engaging, at least a little bit more engaging at the beginning?
I
I mean, I
don't.
know you're a pipsqueak and you have one skill or whatever, but
Yeah, I think that's it. I think the original idea was to apply pressure early,
yeah,
and one of the best ways to do that is to feel like you can't run away.
yeah, I guess so.
Right? You get swarmed by enemies and you're slow as fuck. What do you gotta fight your way out? Where I think our approach of going quick and more of the Doom style movement where it's just rip and tear and then rip and tear again and then rip and tear again. I think that's just going to create a more powerful experience. I think people are going to feel, even at that level one where they're weak as hell and have nothing, no skills, they're going to feel like they're doing something.
Right. Yeah, I've always just been in the opinion of like when you're doing a power fantasy, it's like you should start as Batman and finish as Superman,
Right.
right? But you shouldn't be like a total loser at the beginning, right? Like, um, and it's also like everybody always does that XP curve at the beginning, like super quick because everybody
Mm-hmm.
knows it kind of sucks. But it's like I would think the first 10 levels in Diablo 4 you can get through in probably 7 minutes if you know what you're doing.
Yeah, same with MMOs, same
Yeah.
with, it's always that. And they use that area, they basically use 0 to 10 as your tutorial,
Yeah. Yeah.
which is a okay way to do it. My thought is just start people where you wanted them to start in the first place. Almost treat your tutorial as a separate area.
Well, that brings up an interesting question, right? Because, all right, so Diablo 4, they obviously spent. I'm just going to keep going back to that because it's just fresh in my brain. So please forgive. I know it's not the greatest game of all time or anything. But in typical form, Diablo 4, they've spent a lot of time building a campaign and then building an expansion campaign that nobody plays more than like once, right?
Yeah.
Like you get through the campaign and then you're in the end game at the end game, which is all, you know, R&D dungeons and landscape and
Right.
you know that kind of like I'm going after a particular thing
Yeah.
type quests, right?
Yep.
And it has nothing to do with the story anymore. Um, and so it's like, does the story even need to exist in these games, right?
Well,
You know,
that's the interesting one. I am continually frustrated by RPGs in general, MMO and AR. And the reason being is that the the story doesn't matter. Um, it, the scenery may change a little bit, enemies may have some dialogue, but you go back to the freaking blacksmith, and
he
he's
doesn't
still
remember,
talking about
right?
whatever. It drives me up the wall that your progression in the story has no impact
Right.
on the world. Um, I think I think our fractured universe idea will put a point on that because we
Yeah.
almost can't have a chain story.
No, we can't. We can't. The way that we're thinking of, you know, putting this together, right? Um, no, it's like the way that we talked about putting the levels together is that the fourth part, the last part, is the only one that should have story structure to it. The boss,
Right.
right? Um,
But what order you do anything in is kind of up for a little bit of RNG and a little bit of
right.
skill.
Yeah, I mean, and when we suss out some things, it's like there was obviously some story structures that work that way. It's like get the 7 swords, they were get the 21 cards of fucking whatever.
Yeah.
Um, we can be that kind of a thing, like get the universe back together.
Right.
Um, you know, so I mean, my thought, like always with story, is here. I'm actually going to pull on another game that I just finished. Um, uh, the Doom story, like uh, it's frankly it's so bad that it shouldn't be there, right? Like
Doom 1 and 2 had a story
right, and it did, and it was
like
like, but it was like at least you still had that fiction of like I'm badass Doom Marine. Like there's that scene in Eternal where like you walk in and it's like some control area and everybody's afraid of you, and you
yeah.
literally like grab the guy by the neck for the red key, right? And it was like that's awesome. Like the Doom Marine is just a psycho, right?
Yeah.
And like you're almost alienated from your human race, and like I totally dug that. This one was like I'm just running around with like other dudes that are not little. Yeah, right. They're all fucking space marines from Warhammer, and it just like it was just felt very confused, and like it wasn't pushing me forward to do the next thing. What was pushing me forward was one of the most amazing FPS like core loops I've played in 15 years.
Right.
Right, and like if you ask me what was the point of the story, I don't know. I honestly don't.
Well, they've always kept the story to the side. Like I remember Doom 2 specifically, and I was like, okay, we're going into the demons area. Great. Why? You have to look that stuff up.
Because he hates demons.
There's a whole lore
Who
to the Doom
cares?
universe,
He hates demons
and
on a singular level.
it's old school game design
Yeah.
that they've kept for 30 years now. Of just like, you know what? It doesn't matter anymore. Just go blow stuff up.
Well, and like a good story can elevate, right? Absolutely, right? But it's like sometimes I feel like, especially with AAA, it's like no, we really have to like dig down and make all these cutscenes and yada yada yada. And it's like, you don't really like the cutscenes were the only thing the cutscenes were good for in Doom Eternal. And sorry for everybody who like worked on them. They look great and they're fine and whatever. But like, I'll be honest, that was where I went up and got a drink of, got
Yeah.
a new glass of water or freaking some snacks. Because I just want to rip and tear, man.
Yep.
And but then there's the other side of the coin of the Grand Theft Autos and the Cyberpunk and whatever, right? Where the story is like Chef's Kiss is better than what Hollywood does. So
Right.
But anyway,
Yeah. I mean, it's great. It's great to have a story. Like I said, old school games hit it. They put it in booklets, or later you looked it up online. It was never shown in game, or almost never. I think Metroid kind of put some story dialogue in game. No voiceover, but read text.
Reaper says that if we build it, they will come.
That is the plan. I mean, that really is the plan.
Isn't that Field of Dreams?
Field of Dreams. Should have been a farmer.
Fuck. Hey, Shoeless Joe Jackson can get into the Hall of Fame now. So
yeah, right.
Speaking of Field of Dreams,
Shoeless Joe.
Shoeless Joe.
Yeah. I like the direction we're going.
Yeah.
I actually I'm getting really excited about our unarmed combat, which is something I'm not usually a fan of, but like, man, it's gonna be fun. It's gonna have fun with like enemies who actually can box. It'll be legit.
Yeah, and I mean, again, like pulling off of all of that old school stuff. So it's like, right now you're doing PPP, right? But it's like you need the tornado punch in there and the crazy.
Yeah.
Shit. We're gonna go that way, right? And if we do, then it's like nowadays, because of the way the engines are, it's like let's just pull in the physics, right? And knockbacks, knockdowns, knockups,
yeah,
throws, right?
Yeah, we talked about the and it immediately reminded me of the Battletoads.
Oh,
when you threw someone against the screen and it had the screen shatter effect, and I'm like, yeah.
Oh, well, as soon as you showed me the first punches, what's the first thing I asked for, right? It was like, get me an uppercut so I can knock the guy towards the camera, right? Because that's awesome. Frankly.
Yeah.
Ooh. Ooh. I don't know if you just saw this.
What's
but George just sent over the next 3 characters.
Oh. I did not see that.
No.
You want to show him?
He's going to freak out if I show him, but yeah, why not? We don't have names for these yet. This is literally hot off the presses. So if you have good names for these guys, throw them into chat or into general. Screen 2. So there's the undead.
I'll only have
robot.
one request for the middle one, which is remove the weapon. Everything else is good.
Okay.
Characters shouldn't have weapons already. Like,
yeah,
we want people to play with whatever they want. So that'll be the only change. Otherwise, I like those. Yeah, give us some names, guys. Maybe we'll put a contest out. Give me the 3 names I like most. We'll get a character pack.
All right.
Let's do that.
What's funny about what you just said, Matt, is that I'm watching George type here, and he's like, and these are the names. And they're good names. In fact, we're keeping those.
Yep.
No, we
We'll
just
let the
made
name.
it a contest.
I'll throw in an announcement into our channel. Yep.
I like the.
Turn it into a contest.
He says the weapon's already gone in the file. So
Perfect. See, that's awesome.
That's how fast we work here, man.
It's nice having a group of people who are all on the same page. I'll tell you guys a secret, man. One person leading a company or leading a game studio is a dumb idea. Have three people with varying skill sets who can actually agree on something, and you get shit done really fast.
Yeah, well, it's always been, back at Looking Glass, we called the teams the band for a reason because, you're all diverse and all do different shit. And I mean, some of them actually were in a band also, but I always kind of appreciated that thought of, you do coding, I do level design and, George does art shit. And, we all have, what ends up happening is we all have these very different perspectives on stuff.
Yeah.
And oddly, and this is why we kind of stuck together, is we all can be jerks to each other but all come to a consensus without too much of a problem.
Yeah, it's really easy when we can just throw something out and it's like, oh, it's already done, or I don't like this idea and here's why, and we're gonna fight about it, and it's never public. Like mostly, even the rest of the team doesn't find out that we're debating about something.
Yeah, well, one of the things that we debated about. I'm going to bring my thing back up here. One of the things that you and I debated about was where to screech it. Fine. One of the things that you and I debated about was, should it be click move, right, Diablo style, or WASD? And we went WASD here, right? He moves in the direction that you're pressing. I guess there could be an argument of is S, backing up instead of turning around and moving in that direction. But anyway, it actually feels really good. But this also made me start thinking about a little bit different game design because of it, right?
Right.
Because look, there's certain skills types that work really good if you're point and click. But if we go this way, it's definitely more action-y, right?
Yeah, I still think there's gonna be an option in the game for point and click movement. Because what it does is it gives you access to W as a skill button. So then you have QWER as skills, which is just really handy. But I think to start, WASD just gives us a little bit. Also, another thing I have learned is I really hate jumping in isometric. It does something to my brain. I do not like it. So I might turn that into a dodge roll.
Yeah, or a dash or something.
A tumble.
Yep.
Yeah, because it just, like, how many times in isometric are you going to be jumping onto something?
Right.
And
yeah,
then,
I recommend a dash move just because with a roll you have to worry about animation time and all that, right?
Right.
And
You
if you
gotta
just do
close
a dash, it's a single frame.
Yeah.
that you can just repeat. So
Yeah, it's definitely on my mind. And also, like, I'm going through this. I've got one of the reasons why I went WASD first is controller, right? It becomes so easy to map
twin stick.
axes
Mhm.
to controls to keyboard
Mhm.
controls. And also all the controls are remappable anyway. I've got a friend who has a full hand Azeron thing with 20 buttons on it, so
Well,
I always gotta make
with,
sure.
with what we have right now, and so if you're thinking twin stick, right,
Yep.
which would be WASD is your movement, the direction that you're pressing is the direction that you're running. It already does diagonals.
Mhm.
Um, and then if you do mouse as your aim and an attack,
Yeah, it becomes the other stick.
it becomes the other stick, and that'll
Yep.
work, and that works just fine. I mean, other games have done it. But I do like the whole idea of like left, 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 right as like combo, like we build out combos like that. Real
Yeah.
simple.
Right now I have your left mouse is a two-hit combo. So left is first left is a jab. Second time you click left is a right cross, and then your left or your first right after that is a uppercut.
So you're
So
going jab, cross,
jab,
uppercut.
cross, uppercut. Yeah, but it's three different button actions, which means that you're not stuck in animation hell and just getting punched, right?
Right,
I
right.
really don't want the combat to feel like you could get interrupted.
Well, you can get interrupted. As
The
I
timing
know
just
what you're
has to
saying.
be right. Like, when you have a giant like a three-hit combo,
Hmm.
it's really frustrating in games when you don't get to actually finish it just because the animation didn't finish, right?
That's what
So
I
I
see.
want
What you
the
got.
animation's really tight
Yeah,
so that you don't feel like you're out of control for too long.
right. I thought you meant like interruption, as in like you're fighting a big boss and you get the first two off, but he smacks you.
Yeah, no,
That's
it's just
fine.
it's see, but that's the cool thing is that's not interruption, right? Because
Right,
you choose when to fire that third.
right,
You choose when to fire the second one too. It's like it's all timed.
right.
And I think the way that I have it set up right now is that if you just jab and then do nothing for 1.5 seconds, it resets and you'll do the jab again. And once you do the cross, your jab is available again if you just hit left mouse again.
Hmm.
So if you do three left mouses, it's jab, cross, jab.
Hmm.
Then right mouse to uppercut, and that has a 6-second cooldown on it because it does a little bit more damage. Which, we'll play with all those numbers. Like, those were just kind of what felt good in the moment.
Hmm.
Yeah, I'm nerding out about that kind of stuff now because it's all the things that frustrate me in games.
Well, here's your chance.
Which is here's a 4-hit combo that you will never complete. So yeah, I'm big on being able to control your combos.
Right.
Yeah, I think next is I need a way to block. I need a way to parry. Be able to like maybe when you click left click when they're striking, you'll actually knock their hand away. That kind of thing.
Hmm. Have you ever played? Hold on, I'll give you the name of the game in a second. Sleeping Dogs.
No.
It's probably my second favorite open world game, but it's a Yakuza story. But actually, not a Yakuza story. It's a Chinese mafia story. But you play a cop, and in the Yakuza, right, you're a double agent
Yeah.
kind of deal. And the hand-to-hand combat in that is there's not a lot of guns in
Right.
right? So very rarely do you get your hands on an actual pistol or whatever. So it's mostly kung fu, and it's so good. It's just a rhythm game,
Right.
but
That's kind of what I want combat to feel like. I
yeah,
want it to feel rhythmic.
yeah.
You know, it's a call and response every time.
Go do your. It's a treat. Go get yourself a copy of Sleeping Dogs. First of all, it's
I'll have
really
to.
a really fun game. And my favorite thing about it is that you have to drive on the wrong side of the road.
Well, yeah. Wrong side for us.
Yeah. It totally screws me up every time I play it. It's kind of hilarious, but yeah, the hand-to-hand combat in that game is so good, and like there's a couple of different styles that you can learn over time.
Right.
So there's drunken boxing, and there's um, Wing Chun, right?
I thought about. So I would love to get Elliot to look at some of these animations and do a drunken boxing style.
We could do it and then have it set off at like eat a power up or something, or drink a bottle of
Yeah.
wine, and right,
Yeah.
yeah. just send him a clip of Jackie Chan being a lunatic.
But actually, like Jackie Chan's actually a great thing. That's what I want combat to feel like. I want it to be chaotic. I want it to be use what you have available to you.
So, all right. Well, and if that's the thing, right? So that puts in, we have to put in a lot of objects.
Yes.
We have to put in a lot of objects that can be picked up and used to smash people.
Yep. Now,
Um,
I mean, I want to de-scope that a little bit. I think there's
yeah,
I don't want to waste time like building a ton of objects, but we make the fight fun and cinematic.
right, right. Well, you don't want to spend 2 months figuring out how to jump through a shopping cart, like,
I really
no.
don't. I don't.
Or
I,
did you
I
like
really,
all the fighting that you can do on a standing ladder or a
yeah, I
park bench?
really,
Right.
I really don't. But I do like the idea of being able to, pick up a board and spin it and until it breaks, and then have
Well,
to do something else.
and so you just like kind of hit on something is like, um, when you're in actual combat, right, it has to be fast,
Hmm.
right? And the interrupts have to matter, right? Like, but right before combat, like flexing is a thing, man.
Yes.
Like, and we're all used to it, right? Even like the best of action films, like John Wick. There's dudes that flex, right?
Yep.
And like, I'm perfectly happy if like you pick up the baseball bat and your guy just goes before he starts using it, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm
There's a
all I'm
bit of
all for
attitude
that,
there.
right?
There's definitely a bit of attitude that needs to happen.
Yeah.
Just I want the player to feel like the environment is available to them. So many games do this to where they like the one that frustrates me most is the stand of weapons. Right? You see it in all ARPGs, all MMOs. There's literally a stand with like 5 spears, swords, a bow.
Matt, you have to sit down and play. Just or even watch some videos of Sleeping Dogs. So Sleeping Dogs does this thing. Now that I'm thinking about it, they do environmental deaths.
Yeah.
So I can take a dude, and if I grapple him, I can like run him into like an air conditioner,
Right.
right? Or into, spinning blades or whatever, right?
Yeah.
And there's not many of them. There's like, I think they designed 4, maybe 5
Yep.
of these
That's all
points.
you need.
And so like you recognize them immediately, right? And like, all right, so like my favorite one is like you take a guy and like, like the shutters that you pull down when a store is closing,
Yeah.
right? And one of them is like you take a guy and you just slam that down on him, right? and it just leaves them there for like the rest of the fight too, right? So it's like at the end you get to look at the carnage, you know.
Yeah, it's
Um,
and because I'm gonna spoil something here. A little bit of the first level is going to take place in the streets.
yeah,
Like think about as you're designing like
absolutely. I know where you're
what you
trying
can
to go
use,
here.
man.
Yeah,
If you have a car with a broken car door,
yeah,
can I use that car door as a shield?
sure.
Can I throw it at somebody? You know that sort of stuff.
Captain America could.
Is there a is there an emergency kit with a flare gun? Can I
Right,
shoot a flare at them and burn them? Like there's all sorts of weird things that we could do environmentally that could make this really fun
right,
more than like just big bad swing the sword.
right. Well, we already have barrels and boxes. Every
Yeah,
game
man.
needs to have barrels and boxes.
Yeah.
Although I have not put a box in this level yet, right? There's an old school rule of time to box, and right now our time to box is infinity. Um,
Yeah.
usually, I've always put it right behind the player when they log in, just to get it out of the way.
Yeah. I yeah. I don't know. Like environmentally, a box fits pretty much anywhere.
Hmm.
We'll
We
find
have a
it.
bunch. We already have a bunch. I mean, we'd have to
Yeah.
make them usable, but
Yeah. And then when you start talking about environmental stuff, the real concern there is that if everything has a collider, then everything is colliding with itself, and so we have to be very strategic about what's available and what isn't.
yeah. You don't have to. You can still make it really clean, and then it's like if we know that these are the five objects that blah blah blah, right?
Yeah.
Um, I don't think anybody expects us to be able to pick up a car and throw it, although it would be cool. Um, that's a whole different game.
That is a whole different game. That's our rampage game.
Yeah, yeah. But like you just have to build as long as the rules are consistent, you know, people get it, right?
Yeah,
Like
and
if we make it so like you can put people's heads into air conditioning ducts. When they see air conditioners, they're going to be like, people will aim for it, right?
yeah,
People will be like, yeah, because there's nothing more better or worse for combat than uh, you can still beat the guy up normally, or you can just take him out with the one shot by throwing him into the air conditioner, which is just way cooler. So yeah, I mean, I can look at the streets and be like, what are the environmentals here, right?
how
Manhole
do I
cover comes
break
to
a
mind
stop
immediately.
sign? How do I
Stop
break a
sign,
stop sign over someone's head? That's what I need to know.
right? Well, I mean, it's sure. I mean, like anything's possible. It's a fucking video game.
It's a video game.
No, we have
Is it?
to be realistic. No, I don't want to be realistic.
No.
I want to swing signs.
We wouldn't be voxel if we wanted to be realistic.
Right, right.
Our art style sort of throws that out the window. If
Yeah.
you're expecting anything other than semi-real physics, you're off the
Well,
deep end.
and physics to the point of like physics are for the fun, not for the realism. If that
Yeah,
makes any sense. Um, I'm like, because I'm perfectly happy with somebody hitting somebody with an uppercut and making them fly all the way up to the camera, right? Which is probably 50 feet. Nobody could
yeah.
ever do that in the reality, right? But it's a video game and it looks cool, so we're doing it. It's
I
Bugs Bunny rules.
it's sort of funny, and this goes on to one of my other hobbies, is that because of our first-person view of consciousness, we perceive physics differently than it actually behaves. Like, yes, we can test some things, but things don't act the way that you think they do.
So, one of the games, anything that comes out of the Looking Glass pedigree always has physics simulation going on of one sense or another. And it's one of the things we played around with a lot on Underworld Ascendant. And me and the lead systems designer were always like not arguing, but there was always the discussion of like, no, here's the real number, right? And it always not always, but almost always feels disappointing, right?
Yeah.
Like, a wooden box weighs blah, right? And your guy picks it up and he throws it and it goes,
Yeah.
no, like, so I would always like lower weights and stuff, right? And he'd be like, no. But it was totally because like you want to fire that thing across the room, right? You're,
Real physics is disappointing.
real
That's a
physics
quote.
can be disappointing. Real walk speed and an FPS.
God
Oh,
slow. Yeah.
like, I mean, we're doing whatever right now. I bet you we're doing about 14 miles per hour right now. Um,
I could actually tell you what our speed is.
yeah,
Think I
and
think you're right on. I think it's 10.
yeah. So right, way faster than you walk in real life, right? On the average.
Yeah. If anyone's walking 10 miles an hour, also
They're,
let me know because I want to see that.
they're speed walking, right? Um, but yeah. I mean, that was like Doom. Doom is like 60.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like the
Doom is
original
a
Doom is like 60 miles per hour. You're just like you're a little space truck,
cheetah sprint.
right? Same with Quake. Quake is super fast, right?
So I actually played because you suggested. I went back and played Quake One. Man, that is floaty. I had forgotten how floaty OG controls are. Oh man,
But there's
like
air control, man.
you almost you don't have to touch the ground. I'm
No,
fully convinced that I could play that whole game floating.
the bunny hop. Well, the bunny hop was something that was basically broken in that engine.
Yeah.
So um, it was broken in a lot of engines back in that at that age. But up through Quake 3, you could strafe in a direction and then bunny hop at the same time, and get and speed would just incrementally accelerate, right? And so it really got broken in Quake 3 when they did terrain for the first time, because you could do that in really large open spaces, then ramp off of like, a little hill or whatever and fly, 5 football fields. It was amazing. And I always like it that gamers are just like, it's part of the world. It works.
It,
Nobody's like,
it's
"Oh, I can't believe my Quake guys like flying."
well,
Oh,
other
good,
than
man.
people who don't, people who like to bag on Call of Duty players, they'll always bring up the bunny hop, and I'm like, well, it's just part of the world. Like you can't not use it. It
Right.
gives you an unfair advantage. Like
Yeah.
you can try not to use it. Okay.
Marcy can still do a perfect imitation of the Quake 2 jump sound because she heard it probably for 3 years straight. All right. Hooah, hooah. All right, man. Anything else you want to talk about? Shall we get back to
Let's,
building
dude.
things?
I'm excited. I am gonna start streaming my build process a little bit. Probably not gonna have conversational chat on. It will probably be through Twitch, just because I my ADD won't allow me to not sit there and talk the whole
Right,
day.
right,
But I do want to show you guys because I think Unreal 5.5 especially, there's so many cool things that if you're interested in game design and game dev, will show you that it's not as scary as it used to be.
definitely not.
Um, there's a lot of stuff that is just done by checkbox and done by blueprints and which are just graphs.
Yeah,
If you can draw a line and connect a thought, then you can do this. And
you can
I think
draw a
that's
line and connect the thought.
that
Sometimes that's hard, Matt.
it really is hard. I spent many hours last night trying to figure out why my AI was sliding around and not using its animations.
Uh,
Um, and I think part of my personal mission, especially since I started the articles on LinkedIn, is I just want to show people that game dev isn't scary. It's
Right.
hard. It can be intense, but it's not something to be like, oh, I could never do that. That's bullshit. Um, if you have a desire, there's a pathway.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, the thing is that, and we see it, especially even when we talk to beginner designers,
Oh
is
man,
um, a lot of people aim too big,
yeah,
right? They're like, I want to build a metaverse. And it's like, well, can you start with an arcade game,
yeah.
right?
Start
Or at least a
start
smaller world,
yeah. Start by building. Show me that you can build a level
right?
with a character in it, and then talk about expanding. Yeah, it's part of my thing. So I'm gonna start doing that probably next week. As we get further into this process, there's some stuff I want to show off anyway, especially as I get a sword in this guy's hand. And as we start voxelizing stuff, because that's gonna come pretty quickly. Um, yeah,
Yeah.
that's all I got. Just for your information, I won't be here tomorrow mostly.
Okay.
My football season has started,
So it begins.
which means I am in the middle of Central Valley. It's going to be 112 when I'm there this weekend, and I'm
Nice.
going to be on a turf field.
Oof. Hey, injuries waiting to happen.
Yeah, it's what we do here in California. We travel 4 hours for a game, and it's hot.
Is there any questions that we need to answer before?
Ooh,
No,
questions.
I don't see any.
Live questions. Let's see. Uh, will the bomb be? Will
Yes.
there be a bomb weapon in game? I think we would be doing ourselves a disservice if there wasn't.
And it will laugh before it explodes.
Yeah, we gotta add some SFX to it for sure. Like, yeah, we gotta do something. Um, yeah, no, that's it. I don't have any other questions. If anyone
Hey, it
has one
must
in
be
chat, throw it.
summertime.
It's summertime and we've been building, so
Yeah.
it's been quiet, um, which is all good.
All right, man.
Yeah. Sorry guys for the camera issues today, but it is what it is. I'm not I'm not gonna fight with technology today. I've got shit to build.
There you go. All right, my friend. Let's call it. Peace.
All right, man.